Three, two, one.
Biden and
Speaking of Hollywood producers,
seriously,
Biden was rubbing something with them over the weekend.
Well, I mean, he had Obama on stage, and he was in California, right?
They got like. Did you see the Jack Black clip?
No,
like,
I didn't see many clips from it.
Jack Black and a American flag overalls.
Oh no!
No, it was funny. Of
course.
But
he's the only person who can get away with, publicly shaming himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Good on him. They raised a shit ton of money.
Over $50 million.
And like a few hours.
Yeah.
Like, so these fundraisers, because I'm always fascinated how they work, which all it is you have a dinner, right? And some speakers, and everybody pays a shit ton of money to get in, and then they make donations while they're there.
Yeah, and then,
or is this strictly like the money at the gate?
I think it's exactly like what you just said, and then on top of that, you have, obviously any celebrity who's there and agrees either to get up on stage or to be photographed are effectively telling all their fans, like, A, this is who I'm voting for, and B, this is who you should be voting for.
Right.
Which, that's always a double-edged sword, right? Like, you got...
Who did they trot out there?
I didn't
go into the minutiae.
I didn't.
They made a shit ton of money and went.
I know, like George Clooney was one of the sponsors, like stuff like that.
Where was it done?
It sounds like it was like a Hollywood Bowl or something.
Yeah, it looked like it was massive. Like they do the fucking Staples Center at this motherfucker.
Frankly, that's a crowd that you would kind of, or I'm not saying all of Hollywood, because clearly, the Scott Bayos and Hercules has come out, not in support, but
Scott Baio, wait, is he still a thing? Like where he can come out and be like, I like Trump, and it's going to move the needle?
Granted, last thing I remember him from is from Arrested Development being blah, blah, blah. But, that was like, he popped up in like 6 episodes. But that was it.
God, that was forever ago now. 20 years?
He's still riding off of Joni Loves Chachi, sure. But
well, okay. Never mind, go ahead.
I'm sorry, excuse me, and Charles in Charge.
His name pops up with like the Ted Nugents and the Kid Rocks.
Exactly.
And it's like those three, and there's...
And Kevin Sorbo.
That's the other one. Yep, that's it.
But, and don't forget Roseanne.
But like they compare those to like, a George Clooney.
No, and like I said, it can be a double-edged sword, because there are some people, moderates, that are put off when celebrities tell you what
I support so and so.
But in this case, is that like the money's the big thing. The money buys those ads, and then with that money, they've already started rolling out are you going to vote for a felon?
Well, that was
and they're going to hit hard on that.
So, you make the money to spend the money. Trump, since the felonies, has made a shit ton of money as well.
Yeah.
But the problem with the two parties is the Democrats are going to actually use that money to campaign, and
nationwide.
And Trump's going to funnel that money to pay all of his legal expenses, and campaign in like Wisconsin and Ohio and Arizona and maybe one of the Carolinas.
Right?
Like
if his campaign manager's doing the right thing, sure. Yeah.
But he can't nationwide get on a train.
Well, he can't by law. If the money's given to his campaign, it can only be used for the campaign. I said by law. That doesn't...
We're talking to the RNC.
Right.
Okay.
So...
And I understand by
now,
law. Uh-huh.
That doesn't mean that they might, embezzle money and use that to pay off other things. Now, again, that also doesn't mean...
he's been found guilty.
If somebody gives him a private individual donation...
Yeah, but there are caps on that.
Correct. So, but if they're donating to the campaign by federal election law,
which is what he just got found guilty for.
Yeah, that was part of it. Yeah.
So I want to know where all that money is going.
Or it wasn't federal election, but it was New York State.
New York
yeah.
State. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, election law, which is what I thought. But you're right. Legally, he shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
But to be able to fund, we always knew Obama would come in. Was Michelle a big? I'm sorry, the first lady a big presence?
I mean, she doesn't have to be. I mean,
Well, go ahead.
all she's got to do is give a little tip of the cap, and that's it. Like
that's why I ask.
I mean,
because
she's the one that really runs that household. So yeah,
she's the one that runs the entire.
So if
deep state.
if Obama's saying yes, then
no, but I'm saying if she did she show up, she should be running for fucking president. Who am I kidding?
A lot of people said that. I think it might have been like an Oprah interview or whatever, but
they would burn this country to the ground.
Well, that and I think her rationale too is that she doesn't want to put her kids through another round of that, which I get.
She would win in a landslide against pretty much anybody.
You would think, yeah. And
then they would try to burn the country to the ground,
possibly. But they might do that this time around with apparently a forgetful old man that runs a complex conspiracy of the deep state. So,
Jordan Kapler,
yeah,
he had a perfect segment on his show where it was the female one they were bought, and it was like, it's Hunter Biden. No, it's not Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden took the bullet for Joe Biden. Oh, great. So we should put Joe Biden in jail. No, because that would just be a cover-up for who's really behind all this. And he's just taking the bullet for Barack Obama.
Uh-huh.
And it circled all the way back around, and it went through all the Soros and the Hillary Clinton and the emails. And then it was finally, okay, we're there. And he was like, Hunter Biden's fault. I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it. But I was going to get to that with him, meandering or looking like he froze up on stage at this event.
Yeah.
And, him wandering. What was the other thing that I saw? He does give very grandpa vibes.
Sure. What is he now?
82.
Yeah. He's going to.
4 or 5 years older than Trump.
But,
Trump's 77 or 78.
That's also one of the things I'm fairly surprised that you don't hear from the Trump camp, in which they're going, it wouldn't be the nicest thing to say, but who gives a shit? It's a fucking presidential campaign now, but that they don't make that argument of going, he's going to die in office, and then it's going to be the woman you all hate more than anything would then take over.
No, they just attack his age,
right.
But they haven't gone to the, we all know he's going to die. Yeah. Who takes over next?
Yeah.
That should scare you more than anything.
But
I think
they may not. So the only problem if they run on that,
oh God,
is essentially you're talking about who the president surrounds himself with, and again, Trump's not that far off in age, and actually looks worse than Joe Biden does right now. Yeah. Granted, that's stress, but you go there's a 3-volume set that Bob Woodward wrote on the first Trump presidency about the people that he surrounded himself with and how none of them could last more than 6 months.
That's another thing that John Oliver brought up about them not knowing how to, Jared Kushner actively saying, so who all's staying and who do we need to hire? They don't know. Now they know.
Right.
So that it will be smooth transition. He gets in and then shit gets going.
But
you still surround yourself with.
In the campaign, that's all the Biden camp has to do is they just go you had how many White House chief of staffs, how many Secretary of Defenses did you have, how many
press secretaries?
Yeah,
did you have? How many of all of this did you have?
I think it was Betsy DeVos was the only person that
lasted the whole time,
and maybe Steve Mnuchin, right? So you have your Treasury Secretary and the Secretary of Education are the only 2 cabinet members.
Secretary of Education didn't do anything.
Right, your Department of Interior left in protest. That's not good. No. Whereas Biden, I think the only person that's left office was Ron Klain as chief of staff, but that was because like Ron Klain put in his 2 years and was like, I got to see my wife and kids, you know.
Yeah, and he's not a young whippersnapper either.
Right? Yeah.
So I don't know. We're less than a month out on the RNC, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I want to know fundraising wise,
and crime-ridden Milwaukee.
That he's already shit on actively, or was that Detroit?
No, he shit on Milwaukee, which is Algonquin for the good earth.
It
by
is
the way.
Milwaukee, and had people there call him out on it.
Yeah.
And they're still going to trot out like the usual suspects of fascism.
Well, but I mean, that's usually part of one of the conventions, or part of conventions is they glowingly, thank the host city.
Right.
But how do you do that after your candidate has already been like, it's a shithole?
After your main event, your banger at the end.
Yeah, thanks for all these people in the shithole of Milwaukee for welcoming us.
We'll be lucky if he remembers it's Milwaukee.
He'll probably call it Detroit.
He might. I mean, he got his
It's great to be here in Chicago.
Got his cognitive doctor's name wrong.
But,
God, I don't understand. Like,
I was going to ask if you read that article, but yeah.
While we're having, conversations about campaigning and stuff, and why are we even campaigning against this? Why are we dealing with? Phil, 2 minutes before I go off the rails here.
Well, I mean, so we're referencing. I sent you that article earlier where Trump demands Biden gets a cognitive test, but then can't remember the name of the doctor who gave him his cognitive test.
Who was sitting right there.
Yeah, and who is now a U.S. congressman that ran on Trump's name.
Yep.
So, but that...
couldn't remember his name.
I mean, honestly speaking, it's another one of those moments where literally the Biden camp just has to sit back. And again, you let the Lincoln Project run the really dirty attack ads, and they're doing that outside of your own campaign money. So they're helping you, and then eventually you just have to re-edit that.
Yeah.
And you just have to have Joe Biden say, "I approve of this message," but you use all the MAGA people, proving your point.
Correct. You don't need, like you said, you don't need to do anything. You campaign. Right? You get out there, you have your speeches, you try to keep it as short as fucking possible, you move on. You get your money and you move on. Right?
And in the end, there's some people can sit there.
Kamala Harris is going to have to come out at some point.
Yeah.
And say hi to everyone.
Well, she's already doing that, but like her thing is going to be, and her problem from the beginning is. And I don't know how much of Biden's staff has, had a hand in her staff.
Probably not much.
I think a lot, actually.
You think?
Yeah, and that I
don't have time to
I don't know if it's on purpose, but that's been her biggest thing is that her the office of the vice president has not been solid. But so her main thing is she's at some point it has to come out and calm the worries of those people that are like she's next in line. But again, I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue because in the end, when it comes down to that day of going into voting, like all like the super leftist liberals are gonna like, what's your option? Like